Hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot that they'd melt a planet with twin suns. My name's Brody, and I'll be hosting this episode with my co-hosts Amanda and Christian as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. On this week's episode, we're going to be discussing ranks and hot takes from The Mandalorian, Chapter 2, The Child. By the end of this episode, we'll have a definitive answer on where this piece of Star Wars content ranks amongst the rest. And with that said, let's get this show started. Now, before we dive into The Mandalorian, Chapter 2, The Child, and learn so much more about this amazing character in whatever Baby Yoda's name is yet. Maybe we'll learn at this episode, maybe we won't. But before we dive into that, we have an amazing guest that I'm so excited to introduce on this show. I guess we should just bring him. Have you guys heard of Star Wars Lawyer?
Yeah,
Who
I
has
follow
a
him
Star
on
Wars
TikTok.
Lawyer? He's a kind of a big deal. He is a TikToker, and I'm so excited to have him on our show. He's got his own podcast. He's on Instagram, Twitter, and now he's on Duel of the Ranks. Without further ado, let's introduce Chris, aka Star Wars Lawyer.
Come on out, Chris. Welcome.
Hello, what have we here?
Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad to be here, ready to talk the Mandalorian.
Yes.
That's all I got.
You're Ludwig in for the day.
Ludwig Göransson. The first thing I did with this episode, although I will say, the music was okay for me this episode.
Oh, we'll get into it.
I think so. Well, with that said, like, what was this episode about, Amanda? It wasn't all just about me doing musical impressions of Ludwig Göransson's scores.
Right. So this episode, the Mandalorian returns to the Razor Crest to find it being picked apart by Jawas. After an unsuccessful attempt to stop them, the Mandalorian must begrudgingly work with Quill to bargain a trade for the parts.
All right.
Yeah.
Gut checks. How are we feeling? We love it.
It's
We
good
hate it?
action.
It's okay.
It was good.
It's okay.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Chris,
Yeah.
can you is this your first time watching The Mandalorian, or have you seen it? Have you watched it all before?
Yeah, I've watched it all before.
I figured. I was just setting you up for that.
Yeah, this was the first one that I watched. Like the day it came out. I kind of forgot the Mandalorian was going to be a thing when the first episode came out, and then woke up to the Facebook talking about Baby Yoda from people that I didn't even know watched Star Wars, or people like this was the first thing of Star Wars they were watching, and I'm like, how do y'all know something? What did I miss? And then I get home, my brother's like, you watched the Mandalorian? I'm like, okay. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, I get it now. I'm caught up.
So you watched this episode first and then went back to watch the first episode?
No, I watched them both.
Oh, okay.
Together.
Nice. Okay.
Because didn't they premiere together at the same time?
Did they?
Same
don't
day?
know.
I think it was just the one,
Okay.
Mhm.
but it is fun to reflect back on that time. Because
Yeah,
I
and-
remember that this was the only reason I got Disney Plus was
Oh,
The
yeah,
Mandalorian
same.
was coming out. So I was like, the first time we get a Star Wars live action show, I've got to see it.
Yeah, it really did change the world. It opened a whole new level of Star Wars. Like these whole new gates were open for new fans.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it was really good. I mean, I was in New Zealand at the time when these started coming out. So I didn't have access to, my phone number at the time because I switched to a, SIM card when I was there. And so I had a new phone number. I wasn't checking Facebook or any social media. And so the day we're flying home, I turn on my phone and I'm just getting this one buddy of mine who just loves Star Wars, who sent me 90 messages about oh my gosh, check this out. This is going to save Star Wars. You got to check this out.
Save
Baby
Star
Yoda.
Wars.
And I was like, Baby Yoda? What are you talking about? So I'm like, oh, that not Boba Fett show. I'll watch the first 2 episodes on the plane home. And so, yeah, I check them out and I'm like, oh, this was really good, actually. Okay. It was a fresh taste at the time, which is,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's funny because what we've come to expect now, I wonder how fans would treat that episode of The Mandalorian versus how people thought about it as, at that time, where I'm like, oh, this is really new, really unique.
That's a good point.
Whereas now I think people have come to expect like,
But I mean, with something like Baby Yoda at the
Yeah.
heart of the show, how can you not be obsessed with it? That's what Boba Fett was missing.
You're just missing the cutest little merchandising opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he's fine.
He's
He's fine. He's fine.
Well, let's get into it. Speaking of Baby Yoda, since that's all we know him as thus far, where I gave this episode my highest score was in the technical aspects. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because I think in this episode, we really get to appreciate the full design and structure of Baby Yoda outside of his carriage, how he interacts with things, and his sounds and how he waddles and things like
Yeah.
that. So seeing that come to life felt very genuine, and like you couldn't look away from it because you were trying to figure out, is it a puppet? Like
Yeah.
how is it? It's real, right?
Yeah. Is he gonna jump or is
Yeah.
he gonna?
Is he gonna
What's he gonna
talk?
do?
And
Mhm.
even the little kind of groundhog things in the beginning, and you have the mud horn.
Mhm.
I felt like the technical aspects really popped off this episode.
Yeah, I would say that's where we all had ranked it highest. Like that was the high level point of this episode, and it was definitely more. It was more action than I was expecting for a TV budget type.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it actually looked good too, like the
Yeah.
volume that we've learned so much about already now. But with watching that, and it looks like they're on location, that they have an actual sand crawler.
Yeah.
It all looks like they went all out on it, and it's all in the volume. And I think it's funny to watch it now and see the other shows that have come out, and it's like
Mhm.
volume still did the best, I think, for
Yeah.
The Mandalorian than the other shows.
Yeah. That was cool.
Chris, what do you think?
I think for me, being like seeing Quill and Baby Yoda. So Baby Yoda is that really expensive $5 million puppet, and Quill is the result of animatronics and puppetry, and seeing those characters be so heavily present throughout the episode, doing different things and then interacting with the Mandalorian. It's just building on the things that Lucasfilm did
Yeah.
in the original trilogy with Yoda. In Empire, especially. And so I think it's one of the things that Lucasfilm always does is pushing the boundaries, moving forward with technology. And like you said, with the volume that was present there, but seeing the Mandalorian, who is this, as far as we can tell with the mask, the stoic face individual, I can only imagine what the body doubles under it were doing when just like looking at these two people just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like it has to be challenging as an actor to work with other non-actors,
Mhm.
Yeah, and especially some
and
of the
not have a face to do it.
and then
mhm.
like too, like the effects of what you're doing. Like you're talking about what's Mando's rifle called?
Hold on, I have it pulled up. It's
I don't
called
know.
the Ambin Phase Pulse Blaster.
Yeah, like everything you're doing, you have to imagine all these
Yeah.
Jawas just disintegrating.
Yes. The
Yeah, that's the thing is
incinerator.
we've watched. So we reviewed the Bad Batch, and we didn't like how stun gun heavy it was. Meanwhile, we get Mandalorian second episode. Jawas disintegrating
Yes.
in front of our eyes.
That was a cool callback.
It was cool.
It was a cool callback to like, because I think the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but I think the first time we see that weapon is in the Star Wars Holiday Special, because
Mhm.
it's, I know
I think
Boba
so.
Fett. It's Boba Fett. He's got
Okay.
it.
Yep.
So that's the only reason I know. And yeah, and so I think that's the same rifle, that there's just a nice nod to.
I was obsessed with it this episode. I really paid attention to it more than I did the last one, and I was like, this thing can do
It's
everything.
so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like the all-in-one weapon.
He used it
Well,
as like a cattle prod in the
yeah.
first one.
You
It's
can also
and
like
keeping-
grabbing
fight
it.
people with it, like a
Yeah.
stick. Yeah.
I mean, they keep coming
real
going down
warrior.
with this, but each episode now has had a nod to Star Wars Holiday Special. The first one, who's the guy with the gills? He's mentioned. He's like, I think I might go home to see the family for Life Day.
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
I'm just saying they're going down a thing. There's not letting anyone forget holiday special is canon.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm Han Solo in The Force Awakens every time Mando uses that rifle, and I'll be like, I like this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was cool. I'd love to see. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of confused why he starts using his pistol more down the road.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
like to
maybe
see
it's
it
just because it's
more.
so big.
Maybe because I was thinking about
More
that. I'm like, why
practical.
did he stop using that so much? Like in the book of Boba Fett, like when he was cornered with Boba, he's only using his blaster little pistol in that scenario. So
Yeah,
We'll find
probably
out about.
quicker on the draw with his blaster versus aiming down the sights for the rifle.
Yeah.
I was just looking. The lowest category for us cumulatively was the immersive universe. Just behind the
there's
story.
not a whole lot there.
Um,
Doesn't
yeah.
connect to a
Okay,
whole lot of
what
other Star
took
Wars.
away from the immersive universe for me was in the scene with the Mudhorn, like the Mandalorian's getting his butt kicked. He's losing this
Yeah.
fight. And then Baby Yoda miraculously does his baby magic. And all the Mandalorian has to do is give it a little poke in the neck with his little dagger, and the thing is dead. And that for me just felt a little kind of unbalanced in my opinion. So I kind of felt like that took away from the immersive universe for
You
me.
think that's
Unless
the
there's
immersive
some
universe?
like deep for me, yeah. And that also the story. So I kind of when it comes to like the legacy and the lore of the environment and the animals, it kind of took it out for me.
Like make it a little more of a believable beast. Maybe
Yeah,
they
or
had
like
a main artery
yeah,
right there.
I mean like I
just
cut his neck
wholesome.
open or something. You
thought
blasted all
about
these
it, too.
Jawas.
It didn't. I mean, I thought about it. I don't know if I would critique that against the immersive universe. I don't think there was a whole lot else that tied to other Star Wars, though, besides the fact that we are on another sand planet, which apparently that's only where Jawas live.
That has Tusken Raiders and Jawas. He
Have
got
we seen the Tusken Raiders?
No, never mind. He got attacked by another. Who did he get attacked by?
It was
Trandoshan.
Trandoshans.
That's right.
Which that was cool too. Like a great way to open this
Mhm.
episode. Some good action. I feel like they just really turned up
They did.
the sound on that.
It was interesting though in that fight scene, and then I think it might have been when he was on the Jawa's sand crawler. There was no music. It was just it was just the action, and that's not something we often get in Star Wars, especially during action scenes. Because if you think of some of the most iconic pieces in Star Wars, they're all during battles: Duel of the Fates, Battle of the Heroes, Ben's death in the TIE Fighter attack. They're all, it's like, when we got battles, it's like, all right, we need the music to keep that emotion going.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too. Like those action sequences, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a cool callback to Indiana Jones' Last Crusade when he's like on the tank and they're trying to ram him into a rock, like on the side of the tank. And they're about to do that. And then they're about to do that with the Mandalorian in this one with the Sandcrawler. At least that's what I thought of when I first saw it.
Oh, they're trying to Titanic him.
that too. But no, that is, yeah.
But there were times where it was noticeable, and that's Ludwig's thing, just to really stick out. And I'm thinking when the Mudhorn comes out and you hear that kind of that music with whatever other instrument.
It was like a suspenseful kind of.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
But with a show that has very little to no dialogue, sound is incredibly important. And when they choose to use it and when they choose to not use it is very noticeable. And I love it. I think that's what makes this show so captivating too, is that you really are just sucked into it. And it's not like you have to be like paying attention to the dialogue.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And what were you going to say?
I was going to say I only gave it a 3.2 out of 5 stars, which for me, especially with anything,
which part?
The music.
The music.
Oh.
Yeah, which for me is like saying
terrible.
I never for Ludwig, I mean I feel like I went a little too low.
That's like hate on your boy.
I know. So but it wasn't great. It was good. It wasn't great.
I did notice and enjoy the music in this episode, particularly like when he's like trying to heal himself and then he closes Baby Yoda's cap capsule, and then they start their trek. Like when they start that music, that was really cool and epic. And then there was some other part, but I noticed it was a bit different, or like out of that tribalistic style. It was different than that, and I think I enjoyed that.
Was there, like, Chris, was there like a key moment for you, something you loved or something you hated? Just something that overall sticks out from this episode when you think back on it?
Well, I think it's when Baby Yoda uses the Force, and it's
Mhm.
only enhanced by when I was watching. I I think it might have been someone talking about the Kenobi show, someone that worked on it, that was saying that when they talked to J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson about like directing or writing Star Wars, and they said when a character uses the Force for the first time, it's supposed to be impactful. It's not supposed to be this like wow kind of moment. It's supposed to hit you, and I believe that's what we get
Nice.
here when you have the Mudhorn charging, and we're like, well, I guess this was a short 2-episode series, and then Baby Yoda just lifts his hand, and the Mudhorn stops, and then lifts, and then
Yep.
Mando does the knife thing, and I think that's important for the episode, but as well as the series beyond just the Force, but the bond that these two are already beginning to build.
For
Yeah.
sure. I totally agree, because had he not done that, I would have ranked the story, I think, a lot lower. Because other than that, this episode's mostly a side quest, which side quests are cool for like a space western, but that was actually good for the story. But I don't think much else was pushing the story too much with chapter 2.
Yeah. All I think of is, like, always whenever I think of this episode, and you could rename it to this, but it's always just Jawa sound effects, and I always think back to
Suka, 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 suka.
Yeah.
like, legitimately, it's the moment I was legitimately the most edge on my seat, just like, what are they gonna do with the egg? And I wasn't expecting.
They just eat it.
Eat it,
I was like,
yeah.
what if they're gonna worship it or
I
something,
didn't
know what
or
was gonna
like
happen.
raise it to be their pet? No,
Nope.
they just wanted. They were just hungry for
All
vegetables.
that.
I thought they're gonna use it to like build something or something like that, and then they're like knife. Everybody's just grabbing it. I was like,
Yeah.
is there enough for that to really feed y'all?
It's a
Now
potluck, baby.
Now I want to see like the last time the Jawas tried to take on a Mudhorn to get
That's
an
a good
egg,
point.
and
Yeah.
how that worked out for
Yeah.
them.
I didn't even.
Just
like
like a pack
50
of Jawas.
Jawas. Like,
Yeah.
Pack of Jawas, like wolves on a bear.
yeah.
Jawas on a Mudhorn.
Oh man.
Just thinking of them flying in the sky, just
Yeah.
getting rocked by a Mudhorn.
Whew.
That horn would crush it like a grape.
It's just like, a few of them drew the short stick, so they gotta be the bait, while the other ones are like with their blasters just ready to stun the crap out of the
Yeah.
thing so they can run in,
Yeah.
grab the egg, and dip.
Ever since that day, they're like, we see some poor fool. We're just gonna steal their ship or steal their parts, do what we need to do, and send him in if he wants it
Send him
back.
in.
Everything else
Mhm.
was a ruse. They knew he wasn't gonna give up the armor. They
Yeah.
knew he wasn't gonna give up the kid.
Yeah.
But the egg, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like,
The egg
what are y'all gonna do with the kid anyway?
Yeah.
Y'all
It's gonna be more
raise
of a
it?
nuisance. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Try bringing
funny.
that into the crawler.
That's
Okay, so
funny.
I maybe am not as educated on Jawa culture and history, but
Wow.
I know, right? So ignorant of me. But I thought that Jawas were pretty native to Tatooine. So since we were on a desert planet, I was like, is it the same spot? But I guess they are a migratory species.
I just
yeah,
feel like they were just
kind
trying
of-
to be in a planet that felt familiar,
yeah.
but also
But I also have a
liberty to
hard
be
time
different
picturing a bunch of Jawas getting on like an outbound flight off world.
with their
Like in
sand
following
crawler.
With their
rules.
carry-on
Yeah,
luggage.
you know?
Yeah.
And
No, that's
not
a great question.
scuttling the ship mid-flight.
Yeah.
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 But these
Stealing
Jawas are
parts.
different because they have red eyes.
They got the red eyes.
Yeah, versus
Yeah.
the yellow eyes are the ones on Tatooine. So there's that adaptation for you.
There you go.
S-
Good point.
Science, kids.
I'm sure the Wikipedia has
Yeah.
something to say about it.
How do you
Yeah.
guys feel about Jawas?
I love them
They're great.
so much.
Apparently
great.
they're furry.
Yeah. I heard
Oh yeah,
that.
with Pelly.
Hell,
Yeah.
Or yeah,
I
Yeah.
I didn't need to know all that.
that was so funny.
They scared the
That's
crap
for
out
a
of me.
future episode though.
When I was a little kid, I don't know how I was like 6 and I watched them, and Jawas were just terrifying.
I have a black cat named Spaghetti, and when he hides in the dark and his eyes just glow, we call him a little Jawa.
Little Jawa. But speaking of Jawas, with them stripping his ship and whatnot, Amanda, how you were saying you didn't really believe the Mudhorn should have died the way it died. I didn't think they should fix the ship in like one night
Yeah,
after everything that was done to that ship.
yeah,
But you know,
that's Star
maybe
Wars.
that just plays to the testament of the Ugnaught Quill and his skill, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I was like, that
It
You know, I-
go
I get-
faster
yeah,
if you
that-
help.
yeah.
but I was like, one night, come on.
It wouldn't even turn on yesterday.
Yeah.
I
But it
loved
didn't bother me that much. Like it wasn't
Quill.
gonna kill the
No,
episode
yeah.
for me, but I was thinking like, really?
What do
Why
we
not?
think about Quill? Is he like too tropey?
I really want to know his
No.
backstory.
Yeah.
We
You
did
brought feast to my valley.
we were teased a little of his backstory. He said something about like I've served many years in servitude or
Oh,
whatnot,
right.
and, like so I'm done, you know.
But
Yeah.
his choice of always ending with "I have spoken"
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
such a line that you wouldn't expect from someone who has been in servitude.
Mm.
It sounds like someone who is
Hmm.
being served, right?
Yeah.
Like someone who
Regal
gives
lived in a
commands,
form
you
of
know?
Power, yeah.
So that choice of his character has always intrigued me.
Yeah,
So-
like I think the only time we've ever seen Ugnaughts is in service of the Empire. So
yeah, it's true in that Empire,
Yeah,
right?
Empire
Right.
Strikes Back.
yeah, and so seeing this one be free, and then he, I think, maybe he heard someone say I have spoken when they were trying to, you know, to test something that was being done to them,
Mm.
and so now he's using that as, like this is me having power over my own life now.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'd always attributed it to like a cultural thing,
Mm.
like other
Mhm.
Ugnaughts.
He
That's just where I automatically assumed that maybe that's just the thing
hmm
Or he
people in
just
his neighborhood did.
doesn't like repeating himself.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's like just a retired guy, and
spoken.
he's like, "I've spoken. I don't have any more time for
done.
this shit."
Yeah.
I
exactly.
said what I wanted to say. Dude.
I
That's
do
it.
like, even though it was minimal, yeah, we learned a little about Quill, a lot more about Baby Yoda. And then I like the line Mando says, or Quill's saying something about his, like, put your weapon down or whatever. And he's like, I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are a part of my religion. Like,
Mhm.
Your religious
was-
exemption.
it was really cool to, like, yeah, for the audience just to, like, tie back into, like, oh, yeah, I still want to learn more about him
Yeah.
in the Mandalorian culture.
He's just very conservative.
And then he was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I'll leave it behind."
yeah.
yeah.
Your blaster too.
He was like,
And it was like it's you see nothing but helmet, but you
Yeah.
could tell that look was like,
He's like,
seriously?
you gotta
Yeah.
kidding me.
"Yeah."
This,
But he
this-
kept the flamethrower.
Yes.
on his gauntlet.
Yeah.
I love how he's just ready to just incinerate.
He's
that.
very aggressive and brash. Like, it was fun watching it again this time around, just seeing.
Does it
he's
feel
just
like
quick.
they started going safe? Maybe it's the Book of Boba Fett that did that for me, but watching this, I'm like, I don't feel like we're there anymore with
Yeah.
Star Wars content.
I think that's what I think part of that is the child softened him up.
hmm He's
I'm
a
not
a
father.
fan.
He's a father now.
Father.
Yeah.
Changed everything.
See, give me someone like that. Someone who shoots first. Could be
Yeah.
Boba. Could be anybody.
You had that in Commander Fox. Look what he did to Fives.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Rest in peace, Fives. One last parallel I wanted to bring up before I felt ready to move on was when Grogu was asleep, was taking his little nap after his little force. In his bassinet, it reminded me of Padme when she's dead.
Whoa.
I know, right?
That's dark.
But I was like, he's like sleeping, like hovering and like floating along, and that's immediately I thought
guess
of
the
Padme.
hovering,
Wow, now I need to see like a
I know.
YouTube clip of just him just floating, sleeping, and hearing,
playing the funeral music behind.
No, it's too demented.
Sounds something right up my alley.
Just this makes no sense. People are like, what is this? Why was it made?
don't
And it leads to
know.
nothing.
I know. It's
They're
just what I
like-
thought of.
They were like random thoughts from Amanda's head.
Yeah.
Here it is.
It was a
YouTube.
parallel.
Just
Do with it what you will.
yeah.
He's
I
still
didn't
alive.
think of that, but now I'm thinking about it now, and it's kind of disturbing.
Don't worry, Ani. He's still alive.
He's
He's
still
still
alive.
alive.
He's still alive. Well, overall, it looks like we gave this episode a 69.2%. Chris, what do you think? Was that too hard? Is that fair? D plus
Is it
category?
too optimistic?
So I think I would have given the episode probably like a 3 to a 3.5.
Okay. So right with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
So
there.
like
It's still good.
yeah, it's a good episode. It's not great. It's not groundbreaking. It's furthering our character along, like presenting him with different scenarios. Whereas one where he was on the job in the first episode, and
Yeah.
this one, he's continuing that job, but he's he's presented with a wild beast in the Mudhorn, and then the Raiders and the Jawas, and he is the shoot first kind of guy, and how that works out for him.
Yeah. Be interesting to see where he goes next week. It's really hard for me not to bring up spoilers or bring up things I
Mhm.
like about the next episode, because there are folks who are
I don't remember what happens next episode.
I don't
So
either.
don't say
I
anything.
do, and I really enjoy it. I really like the next one, but yeah, this one was fun overall. And with that said, it's a D plus. Wouldn't you say, Christian?
We're not
It's fair?
grading
Oh
them. This
my
isn't a
goodness.
grade. This
It's
is
a D+.
not.
It's not.
This is not the school of Star
We're
Wars
not grading
rankings.
papers, Brody.
Alanis, aka Nata Kyber, agreed with me. It's
Well,
a D
she's
plus.
a teacher. She grades papers.
Exactly.
I'm not grading papers.
I mean, a percent. It is what it is. It just is what it is.
It is
And
what it
is a D
I
plus.
mean, if you look at if
We have
you
a
go
lawyer
to
here, so
see
let's defer.
a movie and someone's like, "Oh yeah, it's 3.5 out of 5 stars," you're not thinking, "Oh man, that's a D plus." You're thinking like, "Okay, that's a fairly decent. It's a good
It's
movie."
like, that's worth my time.
Exactly,
Right.
Exactly.
A D plus, not worth my time.
Yeah.
I'm not
3.5
gonna-
stars?
I'm not gonna take
Okay,
that.
I'll
I'm
take
not gonna
it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
anything
take that
teetering below that 50% just automatically 1 star. You lost it. We haven't had anything below 50%. Amanda tried hard with the Phantom Menace. You gave like everything like
And we
1
got
star.
close with the Bad Batch too, didn't we?
Bad Batch
with
was
We
some
had a 1 or 2 episodes that were
50%ers.
tough.
there was a couple tough
Couple
ones
low
in there.
60s.
There was a couple tough ones in there, but it's been fun to do this show and see the love with just from guests and other people for Attack of the Clones, a movie that
Oh,
I've
yeah,
loved as a kid, but I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not great,
I love
and
it.
people
Yeah.
love it. There is a huge affinity for that movie.
Until Solo and The Rise of Skywalker came out, Attack of the Clones was at the bottom of my list, even
Nice.
though it was
Ooh.
probably my most rewatched prequel.
Ooh,
I think I'm
Yeah.
there with you. I definitely feel like it's the most watchable, like just popcorn film.
It's
You can turn your brain
definitely
off,
yeah.
enjoy yourself. Phantom, you're like thinking. That movie you got-
Phantom is too boring.
well, you got a lot.
sorry.
There's obviously there's
Trade.
There's a lot of trade going on. There's all these meetings, sitting down, talking. That's all the Jedi do in this one. And then episode 3 is just like, oh my gosh, I'm emotionally.
I'm
what am
gonna
I
need
supposed
to book
do
a
with this?
therapist.
It's amazing.
So Attack of the Clones. You can just
I love it.
turn off your brain and watch it. It's a good time. Well, with all of that said, let's take on some more good times and talk about the hot takes of this show. Darth Vader, take us away.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It's hot takes time. And Chris, you're talking before the show. You said you got to take. You're not sure if it's hot, but you got to take is what you were telling us.
I gotta take.
You
According
got-
to
okay.
some people, it's hot. Even according to some characters in universe, it's a hot take.
Okay.
So for me, I'm going to Empire Strikes Back. It's my favorite Star Wars movie.
All right.
All right.
Lando did nothing wrong.
Ooh.
Do you care to lay out a case?
All right, here we go. All right, so one, at least in canon, we don't know when was the last time Lando saw Han. So we don't know what their relationship is like. Han's kind of nervous when he sees Lando. Lando's able to, take some jabs at him, mess with him. But the Empire's not coming to Lando's doorstep, except for the fact that Han's there. So Han's bringing the danger to Lando and all of his people. So what is Lando to do up against Darth Vader, Boba Fett, and a garrison of stormtroopers? You take Darth Vader out of the equation, he's got a lot easier time. But with Darth Vader there, he can't beat him. And while, yes, Darth Vader is there just for Luke, until Luke is there and Darth Vader's distracted, Lando's got a problem. So his best solution to save all the people he's responsible for is to give up Han. And he did have a plan to get Han back. It didn't work, but it was laid out there.
Boom. There you
I think I'm
go.
with him.
Dang, I can't
I think
argue
I'm
with
with him.
the lawyer. Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with you, Chris.
I think it is a hot take.
What if they
I
were
think
like,
it's a hot take.
maybe if they were like bestest of friends, blood brothers, makes it a little bit tougher in that case. But even still, like we don't see much of that relationship, even in Solo.
Yeah.
There's a mutual respect.
Yeah, and I think you could. I mean,
Yeah. Does Lando really owe him?
Yeah. I mean,
Would he have done the same if it was his droid companion? L3, yeah.
L3.
I don't think so.
Man, I would take a bullet for L3.
I think he would too.
L3's my robot.
It's
My
funny.
robot.
It's funny because in The Empire Strikes Back, from a certain point of view, there is an a story with where L3 is like in the Falcon, and she like is even saying to like Lando, or not saying to Lando, but she even thinks what Lando did was harsh. And I'm like, come on, L3.
Come on.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, either everybody dies or
Yeah.
gets taken under the subjugation of the Empire, or
Yeah.
Lando
What is
gives
he
up
to
Han.
do?
Yeah, I
in that
mean, think
case?
about it, like as you were saying, like he made the right political move. He is responsible for all these people in this society. You can't blame Lando for what he chose to do. Not like he really had much choice, as he says.
Mhm.
So,
Would
I
Leia have done
tend to
the
have
same
some
thing?
more sympathy
mean,
for him.
No, and Leia would have let her whole planet get destroyed. See?
I'll add even another layer to it. In A New Hope, Han dips on the rebellion because it's in his best interest to leave and go
Yeah.
take care of his debt with
Yeah.
Jabba, but then he decides to come back.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yep.
Except
Yeah.
Lando always had a plan to get Han out of it.
So, like, the real heroes in Star Wars are people like Lando, but we're not painting them that way. And the real people who are so selfish, like Kenobi, who should have absolutely taken out Anakin at the end of the Kenobi series, didn't. We paint them still as like these sorrowful heroes that we empathize.
It sounds
with.
like what we're saying is the true heroes are the ones that do the appropriate cost benefit analysis of the situation.
Absolutely.
the accountants of the universe
Yep.
in Star Wars are the people who, they understand.
But I like it, Chris. I think you would ruffle some people's feathers with that.
Yeah.
But I love Lando
I
too much
upvote it.
to disagree with you.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm gonna agree with him.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, you've earned yourself a Roger. And I don't really know if mine is a good take. It's just what I wanted to see. So you gave me a little bit of violence. There's you
I mean, Jaw was
little bit. Yeah.
disintegrating
you
and being
little bit.
thrown like
you
from
salivated the
Sandbar.
appetite a bit. There's something there. Violent Brody is back. So I wish that Mando, when he got the Jawas the egg, he gets his parts and then immediately starts just killing them all out of spite.
Dang.
He's got the weapons, he's got the ability, but he leaves one behind. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
You go ahead, you pick on random travelers. This is what happens. There was this crazy guy, right? And this I have spoken, and this little baby. I don't know what to tell you. We can't be doing this anymore. And I would have loved to seen it. I would have loved that. Just like
Someone needs to teach the
boom.
Jawas a lesson.
Yeah, so you're saying Mando's just at his wit's end.
Can you
and
imagine?
He's just gotta
No. Can you
pop
imagine what
'em out.
Boba Fett did in the tragedy episode
Yeah.
of Mando season 2? Mando just flies, just starts wrecking Jawas.
just cracking skulls.
I think it would be funny to see Mando, like once they slice open the egg and he realizes that they're just like eating breakfast, for him to be like, "That's it."
Yes.
And just start wrecking them.
Yeah.
I would love that. I'd love that
No,
if
no.
Mando went that way.
He goes back. Him and Quill fix the ship. Next morning, he goes, finds out where the Jawas are encamped, just disables the crawler,
Mm.
and be like, all that for an egg, and then just leaves. Just be like, I'm not gonna kill you, but I'm not gonna save you either. Just be petty.
Yeah.
Oh man. No, I'd be spiteful.
I do love the
I wouldn't. I would
Jawas.
say, hold on. I'm not going around killing Jawas.
I'd kill them all.
The women
Not
and the
just the
children
men.
too.
but the women
and the children too.
No, I would love to see that. Leave one.
That's
Just one.
pretty Mandalorian.
Yes.
Though. Like it
Yeah.
fits the
Are
title.
you gonna screw with us?
If you're gonna tell me your
Wait a minute.
religion is guns, and then you let people rob you, and you're like, okay, I'll give you this thing
Yeah,
back.
there's
You
a
give me all my things
reputation.
back. Okay, well, what's the gun for then?
Yeah, there's a rep to uphold, and so far as we talked about Book of Boba Fett, I mean,
But he doesn't want to commit mass murder in front of a baby, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. The child turned him soft.
yeah, he's soft now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So
an
his take.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I don't feel the need for it, so I'll disagree.
Is it milk toast?
I mean, I don't know. Murdering a bunch of Jawas, I feel like it's too milk toast.
It's pretty inflammatory, yeah. It could ruffle some feathers. I am surprisingly gonna agree with you.
Nice.
All right.
I'm not surprised.
Really?
You do.
I do like
you
violence.
Like death.
Yeah, I do. I do like death. Actually, fun quick story. When I first met Brody, we were just like getting to know each other, like very casually. Oh, what's your name? You know, like where are you from or whatever. And he was like, what other things about you? And I was like, I don't know. I like death.
I was like, oh,
I was like,
all right, that's cool.
I'm a Scorpio, so
You into any sports? Like,
Oh,
let's get this. On.
like I could talk about death whenever you want.
I was like, oh,
Like,
Hey.
you know.
You know, death is a part
At
of
the
life.
office.
We
Yeah.
don't talk about it enough.
How about we
Okay,
not do that?
anyway.
How about Star Wars? You're like, yeah, my favorite death scenes were. I'm like, oh, okay.
Chris, what do you think about Brody's hot take?
I
Or is it even a hot take?
I'm not sure whether it's a hot take or not. Like on one hand, he's our protagonist, he's our hero. That's not going to endear us to him. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, after everything he went through, like I feel like the only time people really give Anakin a pass for what he did to the Tuskens is because what they just did to his mother.
Yeah.
Yep.
But with, Mando, it's just like he did almost die to just feed them after
Yeah.
they stole the parts from his ship. So you can understandably imagine he's at his wit's end.
Yeah.
Does that sanction all the murder? Maybe not. But some
Maybe.
assault and battery, possibly.
There's some room
He's
for
just
that.
going around punting Jawas.
Yeah.
Like, think about it, just like a minute-long montage with like Ludwig Göransson score in the background, and
Yes.
Mando's just running around punting Jawas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I'm in. So what do you think? Agree, disagree, or is it a milk toast take? Not even hot.
I think I'm gonna go with milk toast here.
Oh.
All
All
right.
right. Well, I think what do you guys think? If it's a tiebreaker between the two, tiebreaker goes to the guest.
Yeah.
I think that's the most
Yeah.
fair thing we should
Yeah.
do going forward. All right. Well, with that said, General Grievous, what was
All right.
my take?
You fool! Your take is milk toast.
Milk toast take indeed. Well, what about you two? Any other hot takes?
No, I don't have any.
I don't.
All right. Well, with that said, it's time for the last segment of the show. Forrest Ghost Charlie, take it away.
This is the way to trivia time!
It's trivia time, and Christian has the trivia question of the week.
I'm so glad we didn't spoil it yet. But my question is, how many Jawas did Mando kill in this episode?
You'd think I was paying attention to that part.
And I thought we were going to spoil it. We were talking about it.
We
so
were,
much.
yeah.
Is it A, 2 Jawas, B, 3, C, 4, or D, 5?
I wish D was like 11.
Me too.
I think I'm gonna say 3.
I'm going to say 3 as well.
Chris?
I've gotten this question wrong before. Oh, it's either 3 or 4.
Has someone asked you this question before?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm going to say
In-
4. I'm going to say 4 just to be different.
oh, okay.
I think it's 3.
You're all wrong. It's 5.
Whoa!
Oh, I got it wrong again.
I
Dang.
have to rewatch again, but I'm pretty sure it's 3 disintegrations and 2 that he threw
Throw
off.
off.
You know what I got asked?
Yeah.
How many disintegrations?
Oh.
That's what I got asked.
Yeah, because I believe that's 3 disintegrations.
And then he tossed the other 2.
Yeah. And Mando's like, I'm pretty sure I disintegrated a few of them. He's like talking to Quill.
So funny.
But
That's a good
5.
question.
This is a good
That's a
pilot.
lie, yeah.
Yeah.
We
That's-
should have like a kill counter going on when we watch these shows.
Oh,
That could be a good addition.
rack it up.
Oh, the season finale of Book of Boba was just
Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom. Yeah.
don't even try.
Double kill.
Yeah.
Triple kill.
Overkill.
Alderaan
Kill-tacular.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's this episode. The Child, Mandalorian, season 1, episode 2. What did we say? 69.2%.
Almost a 70%.
Almost
go.
a C. That's pretty good.
Oh my
That is
goodness.
Pretty good, if I do say so myself. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. For the listeners who loved listening to you, they want to check out more of your stuff, where can people find you?
You can find me at Star Wars Lawyer on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and my podcast, Too Black, Too Nerdy. Also fundraising for a Darth Vader Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader screen accurate costume. So
Ooh.
Nice.
look me up on Coffee if you want to help out with that fundraiser.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Now, what kind of stuff do you post to TikTok for people that want to check it out?
So I do cosplay, Lando, Clone Wars Anakin, Finn, working on some more like Vader, and then a different Finn based on some fan art, Jedi Finn. And I also do lore content, what if videos, things like that, whatever suits my fancy.
With all the cosplay now, I've never done it myself. I do have a Han Solo costume I've used for Halloween before, but I think as someone who's never really done it, there's always that kind of like nervousness of what's everyone gonna say, what's everyone gonna
It doesn't
think.
matter.
What's kind of been the reception for you when you kind of, I mean, maybe it was really easy to just don gear from Star Wars and put it online, but what was that kind of reception like when you finally went out and made TikTok videos like that?
So I think I started it in February of 2021. Lando was my first one, which was wild for me because I'm like, okay, I hadn't seen really any Landos on TikTok, and any of them that were, they had did like early 2020 and hadn't really touched it since. So I was like, okay, so there's an area, and I was like, he's not really a character that I feel like I can do, but I'm going to challenge myself. And I was able to have fun with it, and people loved it. I wore him to Celebration and people recognize me. They're like, "I know you from TikTok," and I was like,
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That's a weird feeling. Thank you.
I
They're like,
bet.
"I love your videos," and it's like, "I love you, random citizen."
Oh, that's so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, so I also have his blaster.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Who's your
Very
favorite
cool.
person to cosplay as?
Probably Lando, but when I get Vader, it will be
Yeah.
Vader.
That
You
would
know,
be so
I gotta
sweet.
say, with a name like Star Wars Lawyer, I would love to see like some courtroom like situations of Star Wars characters. Like, here is this Trandoshan who's being sued by the Mandalorian for assault, and like these like
Objection.
fake,
This
yeah,
is conjecture, people.
Yeah.
So I do have a series, and I really need to get back to doing it. Where I created a lawyer OC in the Star Wars universe.
Oh,
The
nice.
first episode or the first video was whose name was I changing? Oh no, it was the adoption of Leia Organa by Bale and Brea, and how like it wasn't exactly legal. You had to fudge some paperwork somewhere. And
Nice.
That's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
Beth and I had an idea, and we tried to do this for Celebration when they were asking for like fan panels of a mock trial of Anakin Skywalker in an AU where he lived. Like, or not where he lived, but where where Obi-Wan captures him at the end of Revenge of the Sith and doesn't chop him up. So, Yoda beats the Emperor, and so he's on trial for crimes against the Republic. So maybe we'll try and do
Wow.
that for
That would be
Celebration
really cool.
2023.
That'd be crazy. That'd
Yeah.
be crazy.
And hopefully we get to be there to see it.
Yeah. Well, we are gonna be. And I'm
Well,
surprised.
yeah, if they give it to us, but we'll have cosplayers playing the characters and
So cool.
Order.
Awesome.
We shall have order.
67. Enough of that. That'd be cool. And honestly, speaking of Celebration, obviously we're all really excited. We're all going to be there next year. Still stunned at the fact that Amanda's okay with going to Europe, because I don't think she knows that they predominantly go around via train there. So that's like,
Oh no, not
Trains.
trains.
yeah,
No!
you gotta do the tube.
Not trains. I'm
Mhm.
anti-train.
it's a weird thing to be anti. Well, anyway, with that said, this has been a great episode of Dual Ranks. Chris, thanks so much for
Thank you,
joining us.
Chris.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
listeners, go check out his TikTok. There's one not too long ago he did where he incorporated some 80s music to Order 66. I don't know if it was Stranger Things inspired or whatever, but I
Yep.
loved it. Laughed
Yeah,
out loud.
That
So
was great.
listeners, go check that out. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you again next week as we break down the Book of Boba Fett. Wow.
Wow.
We're not going to do Book of
Wow,
Boba
Boba Fett's on his
Fett.
mind.
I'm already over.
What's
I
that
just-
show?
I just
What?
want more Boba. I'm back as we break down The Mandalorian Chapter 3. See you then. Wish it was Boba.